Hello and welcome to The Download from Wise Woman and Wordsmith, where insight meets inspiration. A space for creatives, dreamers and visionaries ready to spark new ideas, ignite purpose and reimagine possibilities. Here we share downloads of wisdom, stories and strategies to help you thrive in your creative journey. I'm your host, Jill Marshall. Tune in, connect and let the magic unfold.
Show you tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to The Download. I'm Jill Marshall, and today I want to share a powerful insight that might just change the way you think about inspiration. What if that brilliant idea, that whisper of intuition, that jolt of creativity, wasn't actually meant for you? What if it didn't just come to you? What if it came through you, for someone else? Let's explore how downloads are messages and how they can change lives when we learn to trust their source and their purpose. So have you ever received a sudden idea that felt like it arrived in your mind rather than being thought up or created by it? A whisper during a quiet walk, a vivid dream that wouldn't leave you, or a phrase or an image, a solution that seemed to land from nowhere. These are what I call the downloads, those flashes of intuitive or creative insight that arrive with clarity, resonance, and sometimes a sense of urgency. But here's the deeper truth that often gets overlooked. The download didn't come to you, it came through you. And more often than not, it wasn't meant just for you either. In other words, you're not the destination, you're the channel. Downloads might be encouraging you to fine-tune a skill or to follow a certain pathway, but that's ultimately because these downloads may not be meant for you. They're allowing you to become a conduit for something meant for others. Whether that's one person, like having a dream that features a friend or relative who needs to hear something in order to heal or recover or just feel a bit better about something. Or for the multitudes who are being called to some form of collective message. That's what we're exploring, not just how to receive a download, but how to discern it. First of all, why do downloads choose us? Inspiration isn't always random. Some messages are ready to be born and looking for the right person to bring them into the world. Someone who can speak them, paint them, build them, or carry them. They land because you're open, aligned, listening. As Elizabeth Gilbert says in her oft-quoted, well by me, book on creativity, Big Magic, the work wants to be made, and it wants to be made through you. Sometimes creative endeavours are not just personal expressions, but are meant to flow through us to reach others. It emphasises that role as conduits for ideas that seek manifestation in the world. And when they come with purpose, often one that's bigger than you. 3 famous examples. One is The Field of Dreams. In this classic film based on the book Shoeless Joe, the main character, Ray Kinsella, hears a whisper. We all know it. If you build it, he will come. And it's not they will come, it's he will come. He doesn't know what it means, but he follows the nudge. And what unfolds is a healing journey that impacts not just him, but his family, and then generations. It's a metaphor, if you like, for how downloads often operate, through you, for others. A very, very classic one is Moses and the 10 Commandments. Whether read as scripture, myth, or metaphor, Moses is given a message from a burning bush and later delivers divine laws to an entire nation. That download didn't belong to Moses. The tablets were not his possession. It passed through him. And then there's Dmitri Mendeleev and the periodic table. The Russian chemist dreamed the structure of the periodic table in a single night. He woke up, he wrote it all down, a framework that has guided science ever since. That download was never his to keep. Now, over centuries, what appear to be personal messages have been worked through willing participants to create art and science and information that reaches and inspires millions. Let's think, as I always like to do, about the song Don't Dream It's Over, created by the wonderful Neil Finn. Just as an aside, anyone who knows me will know already that I'm a massive, huge fan of Neil Finn in all his guises. It's not quite a stalking and restraining order level of obsession, honestly, but after first witnessing Crowded House some 30 years ago in Manchester in the UK, I now happen to live within staggering distance of Neil's studio. Yes, I've seen him perform all over the world and all over New Zealand, and I've even locked eyes with him on a couple of occasions. The last time that happened was during the pandemic. In order to keep in our bubble, I'd hired a van to help my family move house. As I was offloading a table from the back of the van, I had a very strange experience where all the energy literally drained from my legs as if someone had opened a tap in my ankles. My knees buckled, I tottered a bit, and then I sat down and recovered before helping with the rest of the furniture. I then returned the van to the DIY store from which I'd hired it and decided to pop to the nearby supermarket to grab some provisions and then walk home. Now, as mentioned, this was the pandemic and New Zealand took it all very seriously, so I popped my mask back on as I swayed across the car park on my weirdly shaky legs. And who should be getting out of his car to do his shopping in the very same supermarket but Neil Finn? I cursed the fact that I was dressed like a painter and decorator and that my legs didn't seem to want to work properly, but I still tried to smile winsomely with my eyes, and he literally stared straight back at me. Sadly, not in a, oh, look at this fellow traveller in life kind of a way, but with utter alarm, as if the zombie apocalypse had started with me and I was about to lunge at him and tear his arm off. Darn this furniture-removing outfit, I thought. It was only later, when I related the tale to my daughter, that I discovered the dusty, dirty clothes were not the worst of it by quite a long way. I was sweaty and grey, practically green. I did, in fact, look like the Walking Dead. And of course, I didn't realise until later that the whole leg-draining thing should have been a sign not to walk over to my hero and try to engage him with artful eye expressions, but a sign that I actually had COVID. Quite badly. I nearly fainted on the way back home with my 2 bags of shopping, and after that I didn't leave the house for 2 weeks, and it wasn't just because of the Neil Finn humiliation, I swear it. And he must have really dreamed it was over, as a random sick person lumbered towards him with glittering eyes and what must have looked like feverish intent to infect. But back to that song. My mate Neil says it was one of those songs that came largely in one go, which doesn't happen very often, and is usually a good sign. In a sense, it was a private message from me to someone who was withdrawing from their world. He also commented that the famous line, "They come to build a wall between us," was possibly a personal message about visitors arriving at their shared house when he was feeling antisocial and sitting at the piano. All those guests invited by the much-loved and dearly departed Paul Hester. Well, all I can say is the rest of the world can be very grateful for that intrusion into his solitude, because it's a song that has inspired many. It's uplifted spirits in numerous dark times, including when Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande performed it in the concert after the Manchester Arena attack in 2017. It's a very special song, and it was meant for the world. Of course, as mentioned, it may not be a message meant for the world. It could be as simple as calling a friend and telling them you had a dream about them last night and it prompted you to get in touch. You may be the first person they've spoken to in ages. You might be just the person they need to talk to, the one person who'll understand. Or you might need to hear something from them. The universe works in mysterious ways. Talking of which, it's also fair to say that some downloads are not coming from a source of love and inspiration and light. Hitler, cult leaders, historical and current figures could be acting from what they perceive to be a download meant for action, but is actually quite destructive. So how can you tell the difference? How can we tell what a download is for? Well, not every download is meant to become a best-selling book or a world-changing invention. Some are seeds meant to grow quietly. Others are fireworks that want to be shared now. The key is learning to discern what the download wants from you and why it came. So here are 5 simple ways to tell what a download is and what to do with it. Number 1, does it uplift or does it diminish? A genuine download from source, whether you call that God, spirit, the universe, your higher self, carries a feeling of uplift. It may challenge you, but never shame or belittle you. It builds, it liberates, it illuminates. In contrast, when a so-called download leads to harm, ego or control, it's often corrupted or not a download at all. For example, Albert Einstein's insight into riding a beam of light led to the theory of relativity and expanded human understanding. By contrast, Adolf Hitler's vision of a superior race led to genocide. That was a dark ideology fueled by ego and fear, not wisdom or love. Downloads from truth liberate, they open doors. Downloads from ego destroy. Secondly, think, who is this for? Is it just for me or others too? Some downloads do arrive for your own growth, your healing or transformation. Others keep nudging you to share them. They won't leave you alone until you speak them aloud, write them down, or act on them. The Field of Dreams, again, shows this beautifully. If You Build It wasn't a message for the character alone, it was generational, communal, it was healing. So ask yourself, is this mine to keep, or am I just the midwife? Thirdly, should I act, reflect, or learn from this? Not every download is a call to act immediately. Some are just seeds that want to be planted and nurtured over time. Others are mirrors to help you learn or grow. And yes, some do want to become action now. For example, Charles Darwin held back from publishing his theory of evolution for 20 years. He reflected, he researched, he wrestled, and then he shared it when the time was right. So sometimes it's a firework, sometimes it's a slow burn candle, and discernment is knowing the difference. Next, how does it make me feel? This is a really good indicator. Does it make me feel clear or anxious, peaceful or urgent? True downloads often come with a sense of calm clarity. Even when the message is challenging, you may feel excited, stretched, even emotional, but you won't feel manipulated or afraid. In contrast, downloads rooted in trauma or ego often come with anxiety and a sense of pressure or fear-based urgency. Oprah Winfrey often talks about her internal yes, the quiet knowing that something was right. That's the energy of a true download. And as some would say, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. If it's the ego yelling, act now or else, pause, breathe. It may not be the truth. And fifthly, can it be shared with joy, humour, or delight? Downloads aren't always deep or heavy. Some are funny, quirky, or just downright joyful. They arrive to bring laughter, playfulness, or creative spark. Think of Captain Underpants, a ridiculous idea that helped millions of reluctant kids fall in love with reading. Think of the Monty Python team. Think of Elizabeth Gilbert's story again in Big Magic, where she believes ideas are like energetic beings looking for a human collaborator. Don't miss the joyful downloads. They're just as sacred as the serious ones. And what about the bad downloads? Yes, there are people who've claimed inspiration and caused harm. Cult leaders, tyrants, deluded voices driven by ego or mental instability. But that doesn't mean downloads themselves are dangerous. It means we need to cultivate discernment. If a download tells you to harm, divide, or control, it's not coming from source. If it tells you that only you are special, beware. True downloads lead to service, healing, creativity, freedom, and ultimately love. So my final thoughts on being the conduit. When the download comes, don't ask, why me? Instead ask, why now? What wants to come through me? Who is this really for? Sometimes you'll be the messenger, sometimes the artist, sometimes the quiet keeper. But always you are part of something bigger. So when the next download comes, trust it, hold it, shape it. And when the time is right, let it pass through you, let it breathe. To quote another inspirational song, let it be. Thanks for tuning in to the Download podcast. Feel free to like, comment and share and all of that good stuff. And for more about my books, coaching and business services, please check out wisewomanandwordsmith.com. Also find us on Facebook, YouTube and more.